Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show. Just Doug here on a Tuesday morning. I want to go over quarterbacks because there's a group of quarterbacks that I spent a lot of time discussing in the preseason, and I think it's worth checking in after 2 weeks because a lot of them have big tests in week 3. So I think we can see how it's going so far, not draw any conclusions, but update what's up. And this is first-year starting quarterbacks for teams who are ranked in the top 15 of the preseason poll. So 8 of the top 15 in the preseason poll were quarterbacked by guys who had no more than 7 career starts, like no more than like half a year. Penn State had a veteran guy, Clemson veteran guy, LSU veteran, Miami veteran, Arizona State veteran, Illinois veteran, South Carolina, enough of a veteran. So it's not them. It's these 8 schools. Texas with Arch Manning, who had 2 starts coming in. Ohio State and Julian Sayin had never started. Georgia and Gunnar Stockton had 1 start in the playoff loss. Notre Dame and CJ Carr had never started. Dante at Oregon, 5 starts at UCLA. Alabama and Ty Simpson had never started. Bryce Underwood, the true freshman at Michigan, had never started. And DJ Lagway at Florida had 7 career starts. I have grouped these 8 quarterbacks into 5 tiers 2 weeks in. The top tier is they're there. It looks like already that you can win a national championship with this quarterback, at least compete at the highest level. Then the second tier is this guy looks like he's on his way. The third tier is it seems like it's okay, but maybe something's a little off at the moment. The fourth tier is there are real questions here. And the fifth tier is it's just going to take some time. So the 2 guys at the top that I think of these top 15 teams whose quarterback does not have a ton of experience, I think there's 2 guys who stand out so far. And one of them is Julian Sayin at Ohio State. 36 of 51, 432 yards so far, 71% completion, 6 touchdowns, the 1 interception, no sacks. And no sacks is a big deal. I also think this is a little bit of Ohio State has probably managed this the best so far. There's a lot with these 8 quarterbacks where the coaching staffs are keeping them in a box a little bit right now. Then there's some other guys where they're letting them out and they're putting them in tough situations. But Julian Sayin in week 1 against Texas, we know you guys have heard this. Ryan Day said we didn't want to put too much on him. That's similar to, for instance, like I think what George is trying to do with Gunnar Stockton to try to ease him into it. I think it could apply to Michigan and Bryce Underwood. I thought he looked good in week 1. He didn't run at all. He didn't run very much in week 2 against Oklahoma, but you kind of eased him in. The difference for Julian Sayin is that Ohio State beat the number 1 team in the country while easing Julian Sayin in. And everybody knows we thought Julian Sayin showed a lot of poise, and then against Grambling State in week 2, they opened it up a little bit. He has thrown the ball down the field a little bit. There's a lot of these guys. Some of these guys are living on passes behind the line of scrimmage so far. No one's throwing the ball down the field necessarily great, except that Julian Sayin kind of is. He's 4 of 4 on passes of 20 yards down the field or more, including 3 for touchdowns. Only 24% of his passes are behind the line of scrimmage. So I think Sayin is near the top of this list, and Ohio State's going to hit this run of Big Ten quarterbacks. They're going to play Ohio University this week, then have a bye, and then they're going to play Damon Williams Jr. of Washington, Luke Altmaier at Illinois, Drake Lindsay at Minnesota. They're going to get to Drew Aller at Penn State, and we will do some Big Ten quarterback evaluations, some Big Ten quarterback rankings already, and I think we knew this was coming. Drew Aller at Penn State, their whole offense this past week was a little off kilter. And James Franklin said after the fact, he thought both in the running game with their veteran running backs and Drew Aller, maybe they were just overthinking it a little bit too much. So it had been, I think, viewed as an advantage, certainly by me coming into the season, that Penn State has this veteran guy already. I think you could start making arguments of, if you had a game tomorrow against a high-level opponent, would you take Julian Sayin or would you take Drew Aller? Because you see what Sayin is. You see the quick release. You see the fact that he's not putting the ball in harm's way. And I think you saw enough against Grambling State to see the upside. So 6 touchdowns to 1 pick, no sacks. The only guy that I think on this list you could argue would be ahead of Sayin right now, based on the way he has played, is Dante Moore at Oregon, who has just such easy velocity, and he really throws the ball down the field really nicely, and it just comes off his hand in a way that is pretty special. Now, he also had 2 years ago at UCLA, he had 5 starts. So he's been here before. That's like somewhat significant amount of more experience than Julian Sayin. Was at Oregon last year as a backup, didn't start last year. 34 of 44 so far for 479 yards, 77% completions, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. I think played like maybe one series into the third quarter last week in their blowout of Oklahoma State. But Dan Lanning has really liked what Dante Moore has shown so far. After week 1, he was saying there were moments, this is a Lanning quote, there were the moments when the first read wasn't there and you see him going through the progression, getting to his second read. He took care of the ball. Very few plays where the ball was in jeopardy. Thought he made good decisions. So the arm talent's obvious with Dante Moore. He's smooth out of the pocket. He's smooth in the pocket. This is like, let's be on alert for Oregon. DeCorian Moore has already established himself as a true freshman receiver, as a guy who's can be really dangerous down the field. There's going to be a lot of comparisons over the course of the next month, I think, to what Ryan Williams did at Alabama last year, to what Jeremiah Smith did at Ohio State last year. And we have this thing at the end of the month where Oregon's making this trip to Penn State. Oregon's at Northwestern on Big Noon this week. If you haven't gotten eyeballs on Oregon, this is probably worth doing because this guy's playing great. 2 of 3 on passes of 20 yards or more down the field, but like it just looks right. And I think 2 weeks in, you could argue you can see that kind of half year of starting showing up a little bit, just maybe with the decision making and that kind of thing. He's taking the shots, and also they're running free. They blew out Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a Big 12 team, but Oklahoma State couldn't hang. Oregon was mad. Dante Moore and Julian Sayin at the top of this list of, yeah, those look like guys you can win a title with. Second group is CJ Carr by himself. This is the on the way group. Notre Dame lost its opener at Miami by 3. Off last week, gets Texas A&M this week. So both Sayin and Moore aren't getting huge tests this week. Sayin has been tested against Texas. Moore has not. Oklahoma State should have tested him a little bit, and they look like an FCS team. Moore not really tested the way almost everybody has been so far. CJ Carr tested. So off the bye, he's going to get Texas A&M at home this week in a huge game for Notre Dame. He played well in getting them back in the game against Miami. 19 of 30, 221 yards, 63% completions, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 sacks. They were also easing him into it. Marcus Freeman said this week he showed he's ready, he's capable. As you saw as the game went on, we were able to take some more shots. I think we were very intentional about trying to protect the first-time starter early in the game. I was vocal about giving him easy reads, easy throws. Let's not just tell him to bomb the ball down the field every play, because he'll do that if we allow him to. CJ will throw the ball down the field every single play. CJ can execute the entire game plan, the entire playbook. He's a special player. So they kept him in a box a little bit. Miami got a 2-score lead. They unleashed him. He ran in for a touchdown. He made some nice throws. They were a little off against Miami. They ran a lot of RPOs, I think, but they wound up the read. This is, I think, happens. Defenses do this to quarterbacks. CJ Carr, in reading that play, is reading that he should throw it. And the result is Jeremiah Love, who might be the best running back in the country, didn't get the ball enough. So Marcus Freeman was also talking this week, do we just need to take the read out of some of those plays? So there's no O, there's no option, and there's no P. It's just an R. It's just a run. They've got to get the ball to Jeremiah Love. So they're tweaking this. Like, I think they'll figure it out. He's 2 of 2 throwing the ball down the field, 20 yards or more. I think you feel very encouraged about what CJ Carr is trying to get to. It's just a little different for Notre Dame because they're starting off with arguably their 2 toughest opponents in Miami and Texas A&M. So you're going to get another huge test for CJ Carr on Saturday night. They have Boise State down the line. They have USC, but he's then going to have those opportunities to maybe put up some stats, have open throwing lanes and that kind of thing. What you saw, for instance, from Julian Sayin against Grambling State. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that CJ Carr can't get there, Notre Dame just needs to be him to be there now because they play Texas A&M this week. So he's in the on the way group. The third group is it should be okay, but something's a little bit off. And this is health questions in two different ways. Arch Manning of Texas and DJ Lagway of Florida both going here. They both have a loss. Arch Manning lost the opener for Texas. He didn't lose it for Texas, with Texas to Ohio State. DJ Lagway in Florida lost last weekend to South Florida. Arch Manning's 36 of 60 for 465 yards, 60% completion, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 sacks. DJ Lagway, 38 of 51, 342 yards, 75% completions, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. DJ Lagway missed a lot of the offseason with injury stuff, and I think the people who know Florida best thought he looked like a guy who was out of practice a little bit. He was missing some throws high. He's been a good deep ball thrower. I think Florida feels like opponents are trying to take that away, which again is what opponents do. Are you still going to try to do it? Or are you going to let them take it away and not do it? They lost to South Florida. And when he's on, you see it. Like the good is good. The good is good. Big, strong guy in the pocket, can make every throw, can get out of the pocket and move. But again, missed some throws high. After the game, he's saying like, you know what? It's football. I'm going to miss some throws. It's all about how you bounce back. Next week, I'm going to continue to work on our connection, continue to work on our timing and stuff like that. So it's just a little off, but it's not like anyone's bailing on DJ Lagway. But, you know, he was like a kind of a popular Heisman pick. He was kind of a get on the bandwagon now guy. Like they just lost to South Florida. So that means something. So it's certainly possible the season gets away from Florida. I think there's less of a chance the season gets away from DJ Lagway, but he's not. And again, because he missed so much time in the offseason, he's not all the way where you think he might be. Arch Manning, is he hurt? He's 14 of 14 on passes behind the line of scrimmage, but they also are letting him throw the ball down the field a little bit. He's 7 of 14 on balls 20 yards or more down the field against San Jose State last week, coming off the Ohio State loss. 19 of 30 for 295, 4 touchdowns. And he's scrambling a little bit. Steve Sarkisian said like he's still working through mechanics a little bit, like getting his feet right, that kind of thing. And then also questions about, there was some video of like him after throwing the ball down the field. Is he wincing? And Steve Sarkisian is like making some weird comments about reporters. And I don't know when you went. It's kind of weird. He got a little overly defensive, it felt like. But it just like, this is one of those things. If your quarterback kind of looks like he's hurt, is the better option that, yeah, actually he's hurt and we're not talking about it, or that he's not hurt at all and he just looks like he's hurt? So actually, I mean, the better solution might be like, hey, we're not going to talk about it, but he's not 100% healthy. So everybody who follows college football knows this. They have UTEP this week. It's not going to be a huge test, but like Arch Manning is not dominating college football right now. And again, like if you were going to say, who are you taking? I would take Dante Moore and Julian Sayin over him for the rest of the year right now, based on what we've seen, based on available information. And there's not so much in Arch's past. He made 2 starts last year to say like, oh yeah, for sure, I'd take him over Sayin and Moore. CJ Carr, 1 game in. I mean, CJ Carr fought. So are you really going to take him over Arch? I don't know. But it's just like something is not quite right. So that's quite a position for these 2 SEC schools to be in with Arch Manning and DJ Lagway, who are 2 very, very, very popular Heisman Trophy picks before the season. All right, the next category is absolutely questionable. And I want to go over this. This is an important part of this. I've been lumping all these guys together because they are, in fact, in their first year, their first full year as starters, let's say. These 8 guys whose teams were in the top 15 in the preseason. But they're not created equal. Dante Moore, this is his 3rd season of college football. Julian Sayin, it's his 2nd. CJ Carr is 2nd. Arch Manning is 3rd. DJ Lagway is 2nd. The next 2 guys who are in the questionable category, it's their 4th year each. And it's Gunnar Stockton at Georgia and Ty Simpson at Alabama. And I don't know, man. Gunnar Stockton, 40 of 58, 417 yards, 69% completion, 2 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. They're at Tennessee this week. Tennessee has 2 starting corners who are hurt, but this is a big test for Georgia. DJ Lagway, by the way, another big test this week, is at LSU. So the guys who are like on, like who need to do it right now, I'd say 4 of the 8 guys on the list this weekend, they're going to be tested. CJ Carr, Texas A&M, DJ Lagway at LSU, Gunnar Stockton at Tennessee, Ty Simpson home against Wisconsin. So Gunnar Stockton is at the point where Kirby Smart, as the Georgia head coach, is saying, I want to see in games what he shows in practice. And it's kind of a confidence issue. So, quote, I actually need to see what he does in practice in the game. They have not been very explosive. He's 1 of 5 on passes of 20 yards or more. He has run the most of any of these guys. He has 15 runs this year, 2 for touchdowns, throwing a lot short, just check downs. Smart said he does everything in practice. He does a great job of throwing downfield. It's more about how people are playing us right now. And there's been 2 weeks in a row where there's just a lot of cushion. So again, defense is not letting receivers get behind them because they know they want to take shots down the field. I think these 2 fourth-year guys at 2 Southern SEC blue bloods. This is not the same as Arch Manning or Julian Sayin or DJ Lagway, 5 stars who you couldn't wait to get on the field. Ty Simpson was a 5-star. He was a top 30 national recruit. Gunnar Stockton was a 4-star, but they've been waiting a long time. And so I just think it's not panic mode, but it is raised eyebrow mode at both of these schools. So I think you watch Georgia at Tennessee this week wondering, are we sure that Gunnar Stockton's the guy? And I think you watch Alabama hosting Wisconsin wondering to yourself, are we sure Ty Simpson is the guy? Now, rough game against Florida State in week 1. 17 of 17 last week against Louisiana Monroe. Broke the school record for most completions without a miss in a game. Bryce Young had been 15 of 15. He was only 23 of 43 against Florida State. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator at Alabama, who had been with Kalen DeBoer at Washington as his first year at Bama, he was saying, quote, I thought maybe I wasn't hard enough on Ty, that he thought like he didn't coach him hard enough going into the Florida State game. Ty Simpson has said, coach me harder. They thought he was decisive last week. They did play Austin Mack, who was a 3rd-year quarterback who followed DeBoer from Washington, who I liked at Washington. And they put him in, I think, for the 4th or 5th series after Simpson had been good. And it's purposeful. It's to light a fire under Simpson. I thought Mack also looked pretty good. Now, again, overmatched opponent, guys are running open. They said it was just to like give Simpson, like they've done it in the past for the competition angle of it. But I'm curious, man. Like I would not bet for sure that Ty Simpson ends the season as the starting quarterback at Alabama. And they've got a young quarterback there too, a true freshman, Keelan Russell. Like, would he get in the mix at some point? But like Austin Mack in there, Austin Mack is just bigger. He rips it a little more. Ty Simpson can scoot a little bit. He's scrambling around. Both these guys, Stockton and Simpson, you just are watching them and wondering in a way that you're not with anybody else. Because I think the 5 guys ahead of them, I don't think you're really wondering. Lagway has to shake off rust. Arch, you got to make sure he's healthy. The other 3 are trending in the right direction. And then these 2 you wonder about. And the last one, I don't think you really wonder about because you know what's happening. And it's Bryce Underwood at Michigan. Michigan, I think, was 15th in the preseason poll. They were 14th. Florida was 15th. So Underwood's a true freshman. He's the only true freshman in this group. And this is a reminder to all of us that this is just a completely different conversation. When you have a guy who's 18 years old and is barely in college versus Gunnar Stockton and Ty Simpson, who have been at their schools for 4 years and just haven't played. He didn't run in the opener when I thought he looked pretty good. He ran twice against Oklahoma. I think one was a scramble, one was a called run. He has thrown it down the field a little bit. He's 2 of 7 on passes of 20 yards or more down the field. Sharon Moore, who's going to be suspended for the next 2 games, sort of saying like, yeah, he could run more, but Moore said, if you run your quarterback, you'd better have 2. Meaning like if you run him, you're risking him getting hurt. Now, Underwood's a big physical guy. I don't know that's that much of a risk. But they are kind of holding him back there. And then when it's good, you see it, but he missed some throws. He just missed some throws against Oklahoma. He ripped some too. Sharon Moore said he made some tremendous plays. So like he had a rollout on a scramble where he had to throw down the field. So it's a lot of like trusting your eyes, understanding what you're seeing, having the confidence to rip it, getting your feet under you. He had a play. He threw a pick. No, that was Lagway. Lagway threw a pick against South Florida where he just rolled right and just sort of chose not to get his feet under him. and almost threw like a 45-yard jump pass down the field. And it was just off target enough for a UCF guy to make a diving play. But it's just one of these, like, the specifics matter, right? So Underwood looks good on the move sometimes, but he missed some throws. So that's the one where I think you just might have to acknowledge he's a true freshman. And it's just not a common thing. And so then the question becomes, if you're in the top 15 in the preseason, then you're certainly in the playoff race, right? So sort of the conclusion on this to me is Ohio State and Oregon absolutely in the national title race with young first-year quarterbacks, first-year starting quarterbacks who you absolutely believe can do it. CJ Carr absolutely can get there for Notre Dame. Arch Manning and DJ Lagway, you're certainly not giving up. They just got to get straight. You certainly believe they can get there. And then the other three, I don't know. I think it's possible quarterback play could hold back both Georgia and Alabama. And I think if you liked Michigan as a playoff team, I think maybe you're reconsidering that. Just reminding yourself that it's a true freshman. So it was something that, I certainly viewed it as an advantage for schools like LSU and Clemson. Cade Klubnik and Clemson have not been good in the first 2 weeks. But I thought Penn State, Clemson, LSU, Miami, schools like that had a quarterback advantage. And then it's a reminder. It's like, okay, well, get back to me by the end of September when these guys have played a few games and already you can see it. So that's where we are. It does matter. We'll continue to track this quarterback because it's just these new guys at the Blue Bloods really, I think, are changing how this season is unfolding. But Oregon and Ohio State are in great shape. All right. We will have a bunch more videos on this feed. You can try the Bill and Doug OSU Substack. We have a big premium show coming on Wednesday. We'll be back here with a couple other videos in the next couple days. We'll make our Ohio State, Ohio U pick on Thursday, and then we'll pick a bunch of other national games. We'll pick Alabama, Wisconsin. We'll pick Notre Dame, Texas A&M. We'll pick LSU, Florida, right? Some other games that'll be Friday here on this channel. But you guys know to be here by now. We appreciate you being here. For now, I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was the Bill and Doug Show.